Biology Part 199. The moth larvae and developing seeds mature simultaneously, and the larvae growing to full size, feeding exclusively on the yucca seeds. After this, they burrow their way out of the fruit, fall to the ground, and pupate, hatching into adult moths when the next flowering season starts. The yucca plant is pollinated very effectively at the cost of about 20% of its fertile seeds, but the moth and the plant are utterly dependent on each other for continued survival. Other species like the orchid illustrated in the figure achieve pollination by sexual impersonation, producing flowers which resemble the female mating partners of the bees, or vast in size and color and sometimes in odor. As the male insect attempts to copulate with the flower, pollen is transferred. Wind pollination. Wind pollinated or anemophilous flowers have the same basic structure as insect pollinated flowers, but are very different in appearance. Their important characteristics are as follows. Number one, the flowers lack color, scent, and nectar may be small and inconspicuous. Number two, in many species, the flowers are located above the surrounding vegetation to gain maximum advantage from wind currents. Pollination often occurs early in the year before the surrounding foliage develops. Number three, the stigmas are large and feathery and hang outside the flower to catch airborne pollen. Number four, vast numbers of small, light, smooth-walled pollen grains are produced and released into the air from large anthers suspended outside the flower. The figure shows the structure of an inflorescence of oats, Avena sativa. This consists of 20 to 30 spicklets enclosed by large leaf-like bracts called the glums. The spicklets are supported by a stalk or the rachis, and each contains several individual flowers or florets. Attached to a central axis of the rachilla, the floret is enclosed not by the petals but by two small bracts known as lemma and pellia. Long protruding bristles called the awns arise from the bracts. These anthers are bone on the long delicate filaments, and single carpel has long feathery stigmas. Although there are many species which produce wind-pollinated flowers, wind pollination is a spectacularly wasteful process. Individual plants produce millions of pollen grains, but these have only a minute chance of reaching the receptive stigma. Other agents of pollination. In aquatic habitats, they use alternative environmental agents to their flowers. The grass rag, Zostera for example, has long thread-like pollen grains which have a density very similar to that of the surrounding seawater. Consequently, they are dispersed by the water currents and can be trapped by submerged feathery stigmas. A number of land plants are pollinated by animals other than insects. This may be the casual, non-specific relationship, as for example when the browsing animals like snails and slugs pick up the pollen and distribute in the course of their daily movements. On the other hand, very specific relation may be formed between the particular plants. Flowers such as the trumpet, vine, radicans, hypsix, which are pollinated by hummingbirds, produce large quantities of nectar to satisfy the high metabolic requirements of these creatures. The flowers are large and usually red or yellow in color. The tropical bats are important for the pollination of types of fruit trees. In some species, the flowers are carried on rope-like branches which dangle down from the canopy and open at night to emit a strong fruity odor. The pollen produced contains much more protein than that of most other types of flower. The bats rely on the pollen as their major source of the protein, and their jaws are modified to gather it, usually lacking the teeth so that the long tongue with its brush-like tip can whip in and out freely. Pollen is transferred as they fly from flower to flower.